Imagine being in the middle of a world war. Your enemy is right in front of you. Their aircraft is shattered. Their crew is wounded. They can't fight back. One pull of the trigger would earn you another victory and nobody would question it. But what if you refused? On December 20th, 1943, one German fighter pilot faced that exact choice. What happened next became one of the most extraordinary moments in military history. Charlie Brown was only 21 years old when he climbed into his B-17 bomber known as Ye Olde Public. It was supposed to be another mission over Germany. Instead, it became a fight for survival. As Brown and his crew approached their target near Bremen, German anti-aircraft guns and fighters tore into the formation. The attack was devastating. The bomber was riddled with holes. One crew member was killed. Several others were seriously wounded. Engines were damaged. Parts of the aircraft were barely holding together. The situation became even worse when the crippled bomber fell behind the rest of the formation. Suddenly, Brown and his crew were alone over enemy territory. And that was exactly when another threat appeared. German fighter ace Franz Stigler spotted the damaged bomber from the air. For an experienced pilot like him, this should have been an easy victory. The American aircraft was practically defenseless. As Stigler moved closer, he prepared for the attack. But when he looked through his sights, something stopped him. The bomber wasn't fighting back. He could see wounded crew members inside. He could see the destruction covering the aircraft. Blood-stained parts of the fuselage. The plane looked like it shouldn't even be flying. Many pilots in his position would have opened fire immediately. Stigler did not. What happened next would leave both sides stunned. Years earlier, one of Stigler's commanders had taught him an important lesson about honor in combat. The message stayed with him throughout the war. Looking at the broken bomber in front of him, he felt that shooting it down would be less like combat and more like an execution. So he made a decision that carried enormous risk. He lowered his weapons. Instead of attacking, he flew alongside the American bomber. For Charlie Brown, the sight was confusing and terrifying. A German fighter was flying close enough to destroy them at any moment, yet it wasn't firing. Brown couldn't understand what was happening. Neither could his crew. But the situation was about to become even more unbelievable. Stigler attempted to signal the Americans. He wanted them to change course and land somewhere safer. Brown couldn't understand the instructions. The two pilots came from different countries, spoke different languages, and were supposed to be trying to kill each other. Yet somehow they found themselves flying side by side through the skies over Europe. According to later accounts, Stigler positioned his fighter near the bomber in a way that may have discouraged German anti-aircraft crews from firing. To anyone watching from below, it could appear that the damaged aircraft was under German control. For several minutes, enemies became something else entirely. But eventually, the moment had to end. As they approached the coast and the bomber moved closer to safety, Stigler knew he couldn't continue. He pulled his aircraft alongside one final time. Then he raised his hand in a military salute. Charlie Brown stared back in disbelief. And then he returned the salute. Without another word, the German fighter turned away and disappeared into the distance. The American crew survived. But neither man knew that the story was far from over. When the war ended, both pilots went on with their lives. Brown returned home to America. Stigler eventually settled in Canada. Yet neither forgot what happened that day. Brown often wondered about the German pilot who chose mercy instead of victory. Stigler wondered whether the Americans had made it home safely. For decades, they had no idea who the other person was.